where you scream to watch that, watch this, and I'll dive down through this hairy flesh.
Hi and welcome to Watch This. I'm CJ Johnson. It's an interesting time of year. Summer is winding down in the United States, which means that the big budget extravaganzas will start winding down and we'll start to see the awards films, the films that the studios and producers think are worthy of awards considerations. So generally, from about September through to December, January, you'll get the films that they think might even be worthy of Oscars, and there are a lot of international festivals as well. So basically what I'm saying is the films should start to get better. But what's interesting about 2017 so far for me is how a couple of genres have spawned genre-adjacent films that I find to be the most interesting films thus far this year. For me, the film that is still the best film of 2017 is Raw, the French film. It's Grave in French. It is a horror film, pretty much straight out, but it is so much more than that. My second favourite film of the year, still, thus far, is Personal Shopper. Again, a French film, again, kind of a French art film, which is right in my wheelhouse, but which is also a ghost story. It's adjacent to horror, but it's so much more than a ghost story. Then we've got the Australian film Hounds of Love, again horror adjacent, but so much more than a horror film. And indeed, we also have the other excellent horror film from the United States that is also a commentary on the United States racial situation, couldn't be more relevant, Get Out. Those four films are easily among my top 10 of the year, and they are all horror adjacent. Now, some years I go without a horror film being in my top 10 at all, so I find that really interesting. Now, my least favorite genre would be big budget action. I used to love them when I was a kid. Who didn't love Die Hard? Who didn't love Star Wars? Who didn't love Indiana Jones? You know, all those films. But they've gotten terrible over the last few years, quite frankly, especially with the rise of superhero films. But this year, there have been some action films that are really quite interesting. I'm thinking Ghost in the Shell, Atomic Blonde, Alien Covenant, and now Valerian and The City of 1,000 Planets.
Welcome to Alpha, the city of 1,000 planets. After centuries of peace and prosperity, an unknown force wants to destroy all we have created.
These are action movies that are just a bit more interesting. In fact, I'd say Dunkirk joins them. Dunkirk, yes, it's a high-minded World War II drama, but it's not really a drama. There's barely any dialogue. It's an action movie, just a very good one. Let's talk about Valerian and The City of 1,000 Planets, which is really quite good, but around the world is not really making much money. Why won't audiences embrace new space operas? John Carter of Mars, Jupiter Ascending, and now Valerian and The City of 1,000 Planets all met tepid to disastrous box office responses in most national markets, all but assuring an unlikely franchise future. Meanwhile, any old Star Trek or Star Wars film will make at least $500 million, and the good ones will crack $1 billion at the international box office. Franchise fever is self-perpetuating. In the case of Valerian and The City of 1,000 Planets, it's a great shame, because it's a really fun movie with a couple of very appealing characters we could gladly follow through multiple adventures. Based on director Luc Besson's childhood favourite comic strip, Valerian and Laureline, this infamously expensive, it's around 190 million American dollars worth of expensive extravaganza, is colourful, eccentric and cool, full of sublime design, wacky set pieces and easygoing humour. It's also, contrary to many United States reviews, completely comprehensible. If you can't follow the plot of this, you better stay away from Personal Shopper. That plot concerns space soldiers, Valerian and Laureline, investigating a genocide, a cancerous energy force at the centre of a gigantic space station, and the protection of the last surviving remnant of a powerful species. Both lead actors are new to me. Dane DeHaan as Valerian has an enjoyably mischievous twinkle and a cool, deep voice that may actually be an homage to Keanu Reeves' vocals in The Matrix. Cara Delevingne as Laureline is much more impressive. There's no available evidence here as to whether she's ready to play Broadway, but she's absolutely across the performance style required for this surprisingly specific genre. This isn't hard science fiction, this is popcorn sci-fi, light and sweet and fun, and Delevingne hits her beats with aplomb. In some ways, Laureline is the Han Solo to Valerian's Luke Skywalker. She's more gutsy, faster with a quip, more charismatic generally, and Delevingne gives a Harrison Ford performance, whereby a scowl, an eyebrow raise, or a shifty look to the left can raise a gentle laugh. Luc Besson, who has supposedly wanted to make this film for decades, directs with utmost professionalism. The film looks great. It's sleek, polished and seamless, while also looking distinctive, favouring intriguingly bold close-ups, vibrant angles, and a humongous assortment of creatures who all feel more like animatronics than CGI, whatever the actual case may be. This is a blue sky film, suitable and probably best appreciated by kids of all ages, and the tone is merry. My biggest quibble is with the story's framing device of Valerian asking for, and desperately wanting, Laureline's hand in marriage. Laureline and Valerian are so childlike, or at least teen-like, and their relationship is so chummy that they feel far more like sister and brother than potential lovers. Their chemistry isn't sexual, it's familial. One doesn't want them to kiss, one wants to see them give each other noogies.
History is on the margin.
That's Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, and that's in cinemas worldwide right now. You've been watching Watch This. I'm CJ Johnson.